there's a fluid leak that wasn't there yesterday, you go to Tires Plus. At Tires Plus, we do high-quality car service with trained technicians. We're open late, we're good guys, and we wish we'd have kept the receipt for this car. Thinking service, think Tires Plus.
When you need a windshield chip repaired, why settle for just professional service when you can receive personal service too? At Choice Auto Glass, we take a hassle-free approach to replacing cracked and broken glass on cars and trucks by working directly with your insurance. But it's more than that. It's the attention we put into making sure your vehicle is returned to you clean and in proper repair. Choice Auto Glass. We're not the only one. We're simply the best one.
When you're driving, anything can happen. See? So where do you go when your tires need work? Or there's a fluid leak that wasn't there yesterday? You go to Tires Plus. At Tires Plus, we do high-quality car service with trained technicians. We're open late, we're good guys, and we wish we'd have kept the receipt for this car. Thinking service, think Tires Plus.
In the books for dirt track racing across the state of North Dakota. This is the Dirt Weekly recap, what we saw around North Dakota's racing scene. We'll also talk about what's coming up next. And boy, it's a special night tonight. Not only do we have Joran Boyce with us here, but it's the happy birthday episode for Mr. Larry McFall. Larry, first of all, welcome in and happy birthday. How old are you tonight? 59 years old?
Yes, 59. So this is the last of the 50s, Nick. Could be all over after this.
You've had a pretty good run, though, haven't you?
I don't run anymore, Nick. I walk very slowly.
Lindsay, welcome in. Let's talk about last weekend. Lindsay, first for you, your thoughts on the weekend overall of racing across North Dakota. Looked like this time Mother Nature played nice with everybody.
Well, once again, yeah, no rain. That's a good thing for racing. not such a great thing for our economy around here. A lot of people depend on that rain for their income and their farming industry. The racer actually used a little help with the rain too. That would take a little pressure off these guys out there watering every night of the week. The wind, the heat makes it tough on them. Like I say, the good news is all the races, we got all the racing in, and it was a great competition around the state once again this week.
Yeah, I thought the racing was just outstanding. Again, these guys are just putting on a great show. A lot of races down to the wire, photo finishes. We were talking about that offset a little bit here before the show with Joran. There so many races are coming down right to the wire. The excitement's been real high for the fans. I think it's been a great start to the season so far.
Let's take a look around the state now and see what happened last weekend. Here's the standings and the results from around North Dakota. This is what happened last week. Give us 1 second, we'll brew it up for you. As we take a look, let's start down at Dakota Speedway in Mandan. And here's the results from week number 5 in Mandan. Jeremy Keller wins the IMCA Modifieds again. Chris Michelson, hot on the street stocks, he dominates there. Hobby stocks go down to Josh Rorick. Troy Hoff wins the Legends again. Jason Berg wins the Sport Compacts. Let's head up to Grand Forks now, where the sprint cars were won by Chris Ranton. B-Mods went to Jamie Dietzler. Late models went to Dustin Strand. Ryan Johnson wins at the Bull Ring in the street stocks. On to Fargo. Week number 5 winners include Austin Arneson, who wins the Modifieds. Tim Sheik wins the Hobby stocks. Sport Mods went to Luke Johnson. Sean Johnson wins the Legends. Stock cars went to Rick Scholes. Let's head a little closer to the Magic City now with Jamestown. Miles Tomlinson wins again. Nice run for him in the 5T machine. Scott Bentz wins the B-Mods. Pure Stocks went to Corey Roden. Billy Christ wins the Street Stocks at Jamestown. Devil's Lake finally gets a show win. Mother Nature hasn't cooperated there the last 2 weeks. Sprint cars went to Casey Mack. Austin Hunter wins the B-Mods. Pure Stocks went to Joe Armstrong. Street Stocks went to Johnny Carter. Southwest Speedway down in Dickinson. Jason, the Big Show Walla, wins again in the Modifieds. Robbie Roselli, the Zero Machine, finally parks that thing in victory lane. He's had a nice year this year in the Zero car. Hobby Stocks went to Jordan Binstock. TJ Shellhammer wins the Street Stocks. Sport Compacts again go to Jason Berg. Tri-County Speedway was in action this past weekend. Lauren Johnson wins the B-Modifieds. Jeremy Engelhart wins the Hobby Stocks. Colin Feist wins the Stock Cars. Street Stocks went to Sean Volk. They raced at Underwood last Thursday. McLean County Speedway B-Mods won by Eric Lautenschlager in the 49 machine. Andrew Birch continues his hot season in the 146. He wins the Hobby Stock division. Stock cars went to Mike Swallers. I saw on Facebook today he was disqualified. I don't know if you guys can touch on that in a moment or not. Marcus Tomlinson picked up his first win of the year last Thursday. You saw that he also won at Jamestown. Off to the top. Over the border to Estevan. Modifieds won by Gent Big Eagle. They had a nice weekend up at Estevan. Hobby Stocks went to Riley Raynard. Greg Mann in the 95 car wins the Street Stocks. Night number 2 at Estevan. Sprint cars went to Kyle Fedek. Mason Big Eagle wins the Modifieds. Hobby Stocks went to Devin Gonis. Austin Doe wins the Street Stocks. And we end week number 5 at the Playground of Power, where the dark horse Travis Hagen wins again. Jeff Hotfoot Hooker parks it in victory lane again. Dalton Flory's got that stock car dialed in, and Kevin Dwight picks up his second win of the year in the IMCA Hobby Stocks. Gentlemen, when you see the results from around the state, saw you guys were shaking your heads there. Did I make the wrong move?
Well, there's too many Tomlinsons to keep track of. That was Miles, the 15T down in Jamestown, taking that win down there, and then Marcus, of course, won in Underwood. So overall, a good weekend for the Tomlinson Racing crew, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Larry, your take on any of those winners?
Well, I wanted to say Kyle Fedek, a huge, well-deserved victory up in Estevan in the sprint car. They don't run him up there very often. That was his first win since 2011 up there. Corey Mack flipped his sprint car in Devil's Lake.
That was Casey, I believe.
Casey got it put back together and won that A-Main. So it just wasn't your normal win for Mack and Devil's Lake. He came back from a rollover to do that. And then also Arneson, hotter than a pistol down in West Fargo. I've lost track of how many that he's won down there, but he's having a great season down there. And then it was a big win for Ranton, Chris Ranton in those sprints at the River City Speedway. That was his first A-Main win ever at that track, so his pit crew and himself were pretty fired up about that. So there were some big moments this weekend.
Special night tonight here on the Dirt Weekly. It's Larry McFalls' birthday, and Joran Boyce is here. Storm and Joran will join us in the studio when we return. But first, we'll check out the sound of the week, the sounds of the week, and the highlights of week number 5. We'll do that when we return. This is the Dirt Weekly.
North 83 Fireworks brings you a night of racing this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. IMCA Hobby Stock, Sport Mod, Stock Cars, and Modifieds. It's another 10 and 5 bike giveaway night from Val Cyclery and United Community Bank. The first green flag flies at 6 p.m. Get your advance tickets at Express Mart, just east of the fairgrounds. It's North 83 Fireworks Night this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. The playground of power. The ground is already shaking.
Open Road Honda start finish line. Give it his first feature winner of Hobby Stocks. That is Josh Rourke in the 40. Across the Open Road Honda start finish line with the Capital Trophy checkered flag. It's Troy Hoff. Open Road Honda start finish line with the Capital Trophy checkered flag. Your feature winner will be Chris Michelson. He's coming out of turn number 4 across the Open Road Honda start finish line with the Capital Trophy checkered flag. His 3rd win this year. It's Jeremy Killer in the 11K.
Austin Doe coming out of corner 4, folks. There's your feature winner. Austin Doe in the 17. We're down to the last one. Can Zach Lutz do anything with Riley Raynard? Coming down the back straightaway by a half a car length is still Riley Raynard in the 97R. Coming on the inside, Zach Lutz. Checkered flag goes to the 97R of Riley Raynard. The checkered flag in the 95 car. Austin Doe takes 2nd in the 17. Jeremy Swanson takes 3rd. Taking the checkered flag. There it is. There's your winner, Mason Big Eagle. Riley Emo in 2nd. Our winner, ladies and gentlemen. The hometown hero, Kyle Fennick in the 91.
Up high on the outside. He won last week, twice the week before that. Here they go, Nick, down the back straightaway. Burt's trying to make that top group work one more time. They come out of corner 4. Twite down low, Birch up high, and Kevin Twite's gonna win it.
Make it corner number 1. That's going to bring out the checkered flag. Will the caution fly with it? Does it? It's Jeff Hotfoot Hooker. He wins again. Peter in 2nd, Roselli in 3rd.
Had a good run. And here comes Joe Flory to challenge for 3rd on the last lap, but out of corner 4, past the flag stand. Dalton Flory wins it again. 1 lap to go. Hagen out of the corner, down the back straightaway. Walla running in 2nd. Hot Rods in 3rd. Out of the corner they come, and the checkered flag. He's not the dark horse anymore. He's the lead horse. It's Travis Hagen. Miller, Greg Nicotanko, 3 more lap cars. Not going to be a factor. Kelly Miller wins it. Nicotanko in 2nd, Ogdahl in 3rd.
Not really. I guess I was told Smalls was trying to make it work on the high side a little bit and he'd get a couple good runs, but I guess I just held my line and got the job done.
Yeah, we had a long ways to go, work through the traffic. By the time we got into 2nd, I was catching them each lap, but it wasn't enough to get it done the time we had left. So caution came out, capitalized on that, and I guess we'll take it when we can.
I was getting nervous.
This is your moment of fame. This is when you talk. You don't want it?
still out front. Oh boy. The burgers of the night have arrived.
They watered the top, so I figured there has to be some grip up there. So put it up there once and had some good speed. So just kind of stuck with it the whole way, and it worked in good.
And I knew it wasn't going to be over a burger and fries. I knew where you wanted to talk to me. Talk about your run.
Yeah, I agree with that because I could see the surprise on your face when I said it too.
Brad comes down in the pit for us every Sunday, so thank God we haven't got a flat tire, but he's still there for us.
Your North 83 Fireworks IMCA Hobby Stock feature winner, the 31 Kevin Twite.
I rolled it, and the momentum paid off just enough to roll by him, and then I snuck down and stole the bottom from him.
It feels all right. It feels a lot better than sitting in the back and wrecking and stuff all the time, so it's a lot easier to drive up front with guys that are trying to stay off you. So
I could get up on him, but you got to wait for him to screw up, and he doesn't screw up very often. It started to slick off a little bit there in the middle of 3 and 4, and I committed to the high side, and I seen it coming, and he got his right rear over into that slick a little bit, and I just dove for the bottom. I was like, there's your opportunity. You won't make that again.
Insane track. It was so much fun.
It was a really good track, you know, tightened the lug nuts up this time and made sure they were all on and they were going to stay on.
You know what? I chased that white 6 car all last year, and the only time I did pass him, a caution came out right after. So this feels real good to finally let him see my tail tank for a while.
Tell the fans at home, what did they check?
They wanted to look underneath my valve cover for some cheater parts, but he didn't look close enough, so we're good to go.
That might be my best of the week, Eric Lautenschlager right there. They didn't look hard enough. Those are the sounds of the week. Those are the highlights. This is the Dirt Weekly, live each and every Wednesday night here at the Pro Style Production Studio. Special guest on set tonight, Stormin' Joran Boyce is here to talk. And my, oh my, Planet Pizza just showed up out of nowhere, Mr. Tony Mueller. One more highlight. Check this out. Larry McFalls' birthday special. And is that unbelievable or what? Meat and meat. What do you think of that, Larry?
It looks pretty good. That's why this is going to be a very hard interview segment here when I should be eating. But we've got way too much invested in this to boot Joran out now. So we'll get to the food later on.
Unbelievable. Special thanks again to Planet Pizza, 701-852-1700. They do deliver for free, and it really is the best pizza in town. They've been around for 20 years. Can you believe that? 20 years of Planet Pizza. Truly out of this world. Thanks again to Tony Mueller for showing up and contributing to your birthday party here tonight. On to business now. Stormin' Joran Boyce is here. And Joran, first of all, thanks for coming. And I myself have been a big fan of yours for a real long time. Welcome to the set of the Dirt Weekly. Thanks for swinging on out.
Pretty exciting. Be here this early in the year, you know. I'm pretty excited about this. Getting picked out of that big field of people.
Should be a lot of fun. Gentlemen, take it away. I know you have plenty of questions, and the history on the Green Machine goes back plenty of years.
Well, I started doing some investigating on Joran when I knew he was going to come on the show. And, of course, the only information that I have all the time is my Nodak Speedway programs. So I got all the Nodak stuff all accumulated, and then Joran came with his race card. And
it's a partial resume, I would say, up to 2007. Pretty impressive. I don't know if we can take a look at that. And it's up to 2007 with all that information on there. And that is nothing but winning championships, features, starting from the day he stepped into a car all the way up to 2007, which leaves a big gap the last 10 years. And there's plenty more highlights after that. So pretty cool cards. These are, great things for the kids to come out, get an autograph, a collector's item for them. So really good to have all this information for us.
We've got some pictures we're going to show in just a little bit, but your first track championship, Joran, I see. Actually, in 1993, you were the runner-up to Hank Berry in the Dakota Modifieds. The following year, the runner-up in the Wissota Modifieds to Ed Turnbull, as Nodak Speedway used to run 2 different classes of modifieds.
Right.
And then in 95, runner-up to Jim Harris. That must have been getting a little frustrating. And then the great season of 96, when you won the Wissota Modified title and the Dakota Modified title. And now I look, your first championship was in 1990 at the Williston Basin Speedway. As Lindsay said, this is almost an all-star list of championships. So, Nick, if you've got those pictures queued up, we want to basically go back way to the beginning, and we're going to go back to 1968. And this is a picture of you and your dad, Butch, and also family friend Boyd Erickson. But when you won last time out in Williston, Lindsay was down interviewing you. You had Lindsay wasn't there on Friday night when you totaled your car on the back straightaway, or maybe not totaled, but wrecked it pretty bad.
Yep.
Everybody around the track, well, he's done. He's done for the weekend. He's not coming back. You towed back on Saturday night, and you won it. And you gave a lot of credit to this gentleman here in the picture. What has Butch obviously mean to you in your racing career?
Well, my dad, my parents, they've been everything in my racing. As that picture showed, it's 1968, so I'm 4 years old in that picture. And like many second-generation kids that grew up with dads that raced, it was just the way you grew up. I mean, Lindsay, you had that. You and Kevin had that. And that particular picture was taken when we lived on top of North Hill. And I always share with Lindsay, the rule back then, I was so small that I couldn't leave the neighborhood without Kevin or Lindsay taking me somewhere. So, because they don't want to get me, didn't want me to get lost, and they were a number of blocks to the east. But yeah, back to that Williston deal. We put the radiator into the fan, which isn't so bad, but everything that bolts to it, of course, got moved around, and I mean, we've made a lot of repairs across the years, but this one here looked pretty serious. With that said, we towed back on a double header, which defeats the double header. You're not staying overnight, and my dad got on it right away in the morning. Spent a portion of the day just getting that shroud back on. Stock cars are on 2 barrels. Cooling is important, and he spent a bunch of time on that. So to put that thing back together, somehow survived the wind getting back to Williston. There was times I thought it was going to come to a complete halt getting there, but Wayne was able to save my spot for me. We were able to get there, and I guess the message is, I do my best work in a frenzy and in less than my best mood, because things are certainly not falling together right. But again, that night went right for us. That got that feature late on a late restart, and like I say, again, my dad has been huge on that. He's huge every day, and he goes with me all the time. So really important.
Yeah, nobody knows that better than, like you say, second generation and third generation racers. Guys like your dad and my dad, they're not far from the racetrack. Butch has been more involved down in the pits than over the last 50 years than I think probably anybody. I'm always amazed at his energy to continue to be there. Oftentimes I'll chat with him at the racetrack, and it's like, how's it going? Well, pretty good. He's just pretty even keel. And always there, always, involved and enjoying what he's seeing. And yeah, he's like I say, he's a great guy to have, obviously, as the crew.
He's certainly been my race coach, and been there to get a rivet put in when one was missing, and have that porta power close by when things were rubbing. And through my career, I really never really have had a deep pit crew. I've had good people involved, and but never a big number at any given time. I think it just wore them out. We race so darn much.
That's exactly what I say to people, Joran. I said, it's a fact that the more that you race, the less people are going to be with you as the years go on.
Just wear them out, and this is my 31st year of this, so of course I've lost pitmen to, they got married and had kids and had families and done all those things you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to race all your life. Again, giving my dad one last shout out. My dad retired at 32, and I considered my best year at 33, and that was 20 years ago. So, the numbers are all over the place. So,
the next picture we have is your very first season.
Yikes!
And, I apologize to the folks at home. This was taken by my iPad out of the program, And that's 1984.
That is.
And the fine print there talks about how you just came from a 6-year motorcycle racing career and stepping into a race car. So that's where it all started. And what are your memories from the very first season, going from the motorcycle into the race car, knowing now you're finally doing something that Butch did back in the 60s in the hobby class?
Again, my dad and my parents, very supportive of my motocross stuff there. But with motocross comes a high chance of injury, and certainly I become victim of that. Broke 3 bones, and Dad's message was always clear. You know, you're less likely to break bones in a car, and of course, cars took a different kind of approach. Motocross was a conditioning deal, much like mini sports are, and a car deal. Well, that flat took money. So, but Dad was excited to get into a car, and so actually it was Laverne Peterson's previous championship late model that became available. We took a shot at it there, and my beginning was, to say the least, awkward and clumsy. Nothing really developed. I still had a pretty big interest in motocross, and just really hadn't put both feet in it yet. We messed around with that limited late model with some decent success. I mean, overall points, we had a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th through those 3 years. But apparently, I wasn't taking Dad's need for cars as seriously as I should. Took some years off, chased some more motocross for a while, and then finally decided that, again, the injuries were just getting the best of me. Made a real big push for stepping into the car then with the Dakota Modified in 1990, and without the motocross distracting me, and with, you know, just, I never was an auto mechanic of any sort, and everything I've learned on cars I've learned the hard way, and usually multiple times. So you know, we had some races that just didn't go right, and you were talking about the Nodak stuff there. With Nodak being on Sunday night, it was always my last night of the weekend, and it seemed like that was, in hindsight, it seemed like that was probably my biggest curse for Nodak, was that I'd already raced 2 or 3 nights going into that, and just had some mechanical failures that I couldn't see coming. Whereas, you know, when you look at the Harvest 100s and the Motor Magics and stuff like that, I had quite a number of them when it was specifically just the weekend for Nodak. So that's kind of how I remember it, and going to have to live with myself forever on that. But yeah.
We've got a couple of more pictures from the next 2 years. There's the late model car in your 2nd season, and then we have a picture of the 3rd season there. That looks like the trailer of a movie. I don't know that.
Werewolves
in
London.
Mad Max? Is that Mad Max in that picture? But we just decided to put those 3 up to show the folks your first 3 years of race cars, and then you did take the time off, and when you came back in 90, here came the championship in Williston. And this list that's on your card, Joran, is just amazing how many championships are on here.
Thanks.
Actually, that there, we were talking ahead of time. I asked you what year that was. You said that was 1996. That was the 2 championship season. That was that the Wasota?
That was the Wasota Modified,
there,
and that was our last year being sanctioned with that. And I wanted, you know, that most racers will say that their home track is the toughest one to win at, and you know, I hate to think that it is actually a curse, but most of us have lived that. Where I've done good in Williston and Mandan, I haven't had quite the success in mine, at least in championships. But like I say, with 3 runner-ups leading up to that in both classes, I was so focused on that. I used to say I was so focused on winning a championship that I won 2. So we just wanted to get our name on, you know, on the home track marble, if you will. And of course, that was followed by a couple of championships after that. 6 back to back.
Yeah, I see that in 97
and
Dakota Mod Champ, 98 IMCA Mod Champ.
You know, Joran, as you mentioned, you and I have known each other since we were single digits, which is an awful long time. That's hard to count all that. One good thing, we're not as old as Larry, so we got that going for us.
That's true.
But I've known you, and I used to go out and watch you race motocross even, back in the day, go out to the motocross races, and that was a lot of fun. I'm looking through this as you brought these cards along that show some of these things. A couple things stand out to me. I don't recall you having this many diverse colored cars. As you pointed, that picture was a black one. We've got some white ones, white and green. The early cars were the late models were white mostly.
Light blue, like my dad's sprint cars.
Like your dad's sprint cars. So yeah, there's some that, and I didn't realize that you'd won that many stock car stampedes. You won in Dakota Modifieds. You won in
actually just won the Dakota Modifieds. And are you talking about the Jamestown Stampede?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they had Dakota Modifieds at Stampede 4 times, and I put them all together. So
yeah, I didn't realize that you had taken home that one also.
And that was with Hank Berry was there, John Gall was there, and well. And speaking of Hank, Hank and I are second cousins. Mm-hmm. My dad's Butch Boyce. My ex-brother-in-law is Jeff Decker. So, I mean, when I decided to give this thing a whirl, I mean, expectations were high, and I wasn't sure I could deliver. So, and I hope I have. So,
I would say that you have. That resume is fantastic. When you look through these pictures, for me as a kid, I was a huge fan of the racing. I never missed. And this neon green and the neon pink and the purple and the 67, the way this all came together on this race car with the colors. My question for you is the color schemes, and you come from, this flashy race car here. Where does that all come from, Joran? Where does the idea for this come from? And when you look at your sheet, like Lindsay said, all these different colored cars, you've had some of the most rad-looking cars of any modified guy out there.
Well, for me, in the 70s, we had snowmobiles in our family and stuff like that, and Artie Cats were our choice in the 70s. I went on to a Polaris in the 80s, but they were always black with purple or black with that neon green, and I just liked it. Later on in my motocross, I was one of 2 North Dakotans in 1982 to get Team Green support out of Kawasaki, and of course Kawasaki's being fluorescent green, and I never dreamed that my car results could ever supersede my motocross results. I mean, I had a really good motocross career, and to look back and be able to say that I raced 2 things pretty darn good was amazing. So I always said I'd pay homage to Kawasaki till the end, and here I am. Like Lindsay said, there's been a couple of spottings of some different color stuff there. Always love to give my dad a tribute when I can, but when I was racing 2 classes, it was just best they were 2 different colors, because sometimes things got confusing for people. So so that's the green deal, and I'm glad you enjoyed. I really think that race cars should look like something you don't see going up and down Broadway. I mean, when you go to a racing event, I think it should be exciting, and it should be loud. So yeah,
certainly has been. We're going to take a quick break on the Dirt Weekly. Let you gentlemen maybe have a bite of Larry McFalls pizza when we come back. A few more questions for Storm and Joran Boyce, and then we'll get into the rest of the show here tonight. It's the Dirt Weekly live each and every Wednesday from
North
the Profound
83
Productions
Fireworks
studio.
brings you a night of racing this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. IMCA Hobby Stock, Sport Mod, Stock Cars, and Modifieds. It's another 10 and 5 bike giveaway night from Bell Cyclery and United Community Bank. The first green flag flies at 6 p.m. Get your advance tickets at Express Mart, just east of the fairgrounds. It's North 83 Fireworks Night this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. The playground of power. The ground is already shaking.
Special huge thank you again to Planet Pizza, Mr. Tony Mueller, for swinging on out 10 miles south of Minot to the Pro Style Production Studio with 2 pizzas for Larry McFalls' birthday. Hopefully Storm and Joran Boyce will join us as well after for the pizza celebration tonight. Larry McFalls' birthday, all sorts of good stuff. Storm and Joran, we got some questions for you. And my first question for you would be, after all these years of racing, is there a certain guy that you just absolutely hated to race against? Was there a guy that was your number one rival? And maybe that's not the way I should ask that question, but over time, has there been anybody in your mind that has really been your arch nemesis, if you will, over time?
Yeah, maybe not an enemy, but someone that was just difficult to beat. I've got a couple in
Huge
mind,
rival.
and they're probably
rivalries.
the same ones.
Well, yes, there is some, and first I'm going to say that we are best of friends. So, but,
yeah, let's put a disclaimer on that right away.
you guys walk on some thin ice around here, so I want to make sure I'm doing okay here. But certainly back in the Dakota Modifieds, there was a handful of us that were pretty new to racing. We were young, we were in our 20s, and we were full of everything you need to be in a race car. So with that, I would say that Mike Hagan and I have had our moments. And I got nothing but respect for him. When we do Calcutta's up in Estevan, we're teammates. So, Mike and I kept it alive. Mike was probably my toughest one, and really not a rival per se, but again, Hank Berry has just been so darn good, and sometimes made it look so easy that it was really hard to stay, if you will, rewired for him, because he's just so good. So just to try to stay on top of Hank's game, I don't know that any of us have ever done it real well, but I think a lot of us have probably had a little moment with him. And again, like I say, I'm related to him. Expectations are high, but I just got the utmost of respect for Hank. He'd done it all a lot. So
yeah, he was almost. I recall those days when my brother and I were racing in the Dakota Modified class, and he was nearly unbeatable in that maroon. Was it? Am I correct?
Yeah, it was maroon. 25? It was a Chrysler powered deal.
Man,
so
that thing was just spot on. He was so smooth in that car.
So smooth.
It was. You just hoped that he had a flat tire. Is about all there was to it.
It really made you rethink how you wanted to approach it. I mean, full throttle wasn't always his deal. So you had to kind of learn how to coast sometimes to go faster. And
right.
I think he's, at 60 years old, he's still really good. So, yeah.
Is there one memory for you that hops off the paper as your greatest memory ever behind the wheel?
When we celebrated the 50th year of Nodak, we did that with a special race on a Thursday night. We celebrated the 50 years. Did up a gold body. Got together with Jim Zahn. Did up a gold body. We put 50th on there, so it's unusual that I haven't been 67. But anyway, put a green 50th on there. Stu helped me out with that. We got that all put together and went out and won that night. The important thing there for me is, of course, the 50th celebration. That was important. But my dad was in my spare car, and there was enough cars we had to have a B main, and 8 of them didn't make it. My dad did, so it's going to be one of my memories of not only winning the race, but also getting to be in the same race as my dad. That's going to be important. It's important now to be important as time comes or goes by, and so that's an important race. And then a little bit bigger than that, I was able to win the All-Star race in Boone in 2006. So,
wow.
A lot of North Dakotans go down there, and a lot of them do good, but I was able to bring back what I call one of those super-national eagles, and I'm pretty proud of that. So.
Absolutely.
So.
What was with the 671? What was the story behind the one behind the 67?
Well, there was a time when we would travel. I was fortunate enough to go down and race in Florida for 5 years straight there in the mid-'90s. I think that really started things to go forward faster. And at the same time, there was big races in Texas that spring. And the deal was you couldn't have duplicate numbers, so you had second choice, third choice like we do with the transponders nowadays. And, everybody always put a 1 in front, so I just put it in the back. And I thought it looked kind of catchy on the car. And, if you're a hot rodder, you know they make 671 blowers, and that represents power. So I had that, and actually my Leaf car ended up being 672. So it was kind of like a Dr. Seuss book. It was kind of thing 1 and thing 2 and thing 3, and things got wild there for a while. But it was a case of not being able to have duplicate numbers. So.
Final question I have for you. what is the biggest difference, and what do you like more? Maybe just touch on the stock car versus the modified stuff. How do you like being behind the wheel of that stock car compared to the 1990s modified back in the day?
Well, actually, with you comparing it to the 90s modified, it's very, very similar. In the 90s, there, both the Dakota modified and the Wissota modified at the time, but they had what we referred to as still stock rear suspension in them. In other words, the way the manufacturer made it, they call them stock 4-link configuration, no panhard bar, no pole bars. So for the stock car deal, for me, it's just a way of continuing to do this sport at a level that I can defend both monetarily and time-wise and some shortness of help. Again, I got Dad on board. I got my brother stepping in to help. So the stock car is a car that just hasn't elevated to the finicky point yet that the modifieds have developed. You see most modified guys. I mean, they're really close with their chassis manufacturer. They've actually got shock people and so I mean that modified deal has really evolved and it keeps getting tighter and closer and the details matter more and more. The stock car deal, I've helped stock car drivers tune their carburetors, if you will, over the years and stuff like that. And I always said that I wanted to have a stock car program in my career before I was done, and I wanted to definitely give it a 2-year deal. This is the start of my 3rd, so yeah. That was the deal for the stock car deal. It just worked in my environment with my people. So,
a couple of things that I want to mention is that picture you threw up there was that the most recent win in the stock car out in Williston. I happened to be out there helping Larry with some announcing out at Williston, and you parked it in Victory Lane.
Yeah.
And as we chatted down there in Victory Lane, you said it was the 28th consecutive season that you've won an A main, and that is just phenomenal. I mean, not only racing for that long and as long as you have, but to win an A main with the level of competition nowadays is absolutely amazing.
And last year, Joran won the track championship at that track and also won the state points in stock cars last season. So on paper and what we saw 2 weeks ago in Williston, it's not over yet. Joran is still getting her done, but now we have to bring by a little more of a disappointing time in your career. Goes back circa 2002, 2003.
Oh boy, look at that!
Yeah, that actually was not supposed to be the first picture that we put up, but I was in a race against my dreaded rival, Speed Bump, and I'm not afraid to say that I can't stand the guy. I mean, we've battled.
I remember the days. It was tense.
We've battled year after year, and there he was in the lead, and we had a mandatory pit stop with 2 laps left. I had my right-hand man, Lindsay, in my pit, and there is the mandatory pit stop now. Lindsay giving me a bottle of water, working on the car. Speed Bump had a huge lead going into the pit stop. All you had to do was give him a glass of water and make sure everything's working, and I see a hammer in your hand.
Whose side am I on?
You're pitting for Speed Bump with a hammer, and you had some other tools laying at your feet on the ground there. I guess they're not showing up in the picture.
That ain't right.
That turned into about a 30-second pit stop, and eventually turned into a massive fail. What happened there?
Apparently I didn't get the memo right. And a ball peen hammer. My goodness, what was I doing? Apparently I'm not going to hit him on the head, but it looks like I'm going to tap it on the head rest. So, and I look like I'm ready to swing it pretty hard there. So, Larry, after all these years, I'm going to apologize for that. I just didn't soup up Speed Bump like I was supposed to.
Well, no, you don't have to apologize to me. I was racing them, and now I'm back out front.
I did get them tuned up. I'm sorry, yeah. Okay.
And I ended up, of course, winning it, as we all know I would. Right there, taking the checkered flag from Glenn
Arm high in the air, as they say.
And then, of course, Speed Bump cheap shots me into the front rail, and the emergency crew and Lindsay had to come over as they're putting the neck brace on me after a blatant broadside by Speed Bump after the race.
I think what was supposed to be a little bit of fun got a little serious on that little retaliation thing, so that's how I remember it.
Lindsay can't really remember anything about it. So.
Looks serious.
Yeah, but that's probably why you're still driving a car and not working on a pit crew, probably. But good moments at the Nodak Speedway.
That was.
And all the tracks are on. People, you know, in rugby, I announced in rugby from 2002 to 2013, Joran raced there religiously. Unfortunately, the track shut down now. But every track I go to, so many kids, so many kids want to go and see Joran in the pits. You've been a great ambassador for racing, and
you're exactly right, Larry. Yeah, exactly the direction I was going. Is one thing I've always appreciated about you, Joran. Not only that, but the way that you helped out so many guys get their racing career started and still continue to. Anybody that wants help, wants setup advice, you're pretty much an open book. Nobody wants to give away all the secrets, but you'll help those guys out. But the thing that I really, really appreciate, and I watched it many, many years, is you'll be having a conversation, the races are over, your buddies are there, the other competitors, and some kid walks up that wants a card, and you grab a card, stop your conversation with these guys, get down on one knee, look that kid in the eye, and I saw it many times, witnessed it myself, sign that card, tell them, ask them what they liked about the races, and thank those kids for coming. Who knows how many fans that you continue to bring back, and that's one thing that many of the things that I've always appreciated about you and the way that you conduct yourself around the racetracks.
Well, that's nice stuff, and of course I got kids of my own now, and they're enjoying that from other drivers too. I kind of think I pioneered a little bit of this picture deal. Just touching base again on being young. I unfortunately didn't know what Dave Scarry looked like until after he had, gotten killed in a race car, and we had a memorabilia of him in the following yearbook, and I thought, I want to fix that, and reflecting back to my younger days and stuff like that, and having some race car drivers fall victim to that. So yeah, through the years we've done some school showings and stuff like that, and again, my own kids are enjoying it. They're only enjoying the wins that since they've been born, so I haven't been able to, really appease them with my past, but so they keep me on my toes going forward, Larry, as you were saying earlier.
Well, you did it last year
so.
already, so you're already starting to write that story. So,
yeah.
So we want to thank you for being on, Joran. It's been just a privilege having you on the set, and we'll be right back with more on the Dirt Weekly.
Fun deal, guys.
North 83 Fireworks brings you a night of racing this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. IMCA Hobby Stock, Sport Mod, Stock Cars, and Modifieds. It's another 10 and 5 bike giveaway night from Bell Cyclery and United Community Bank. The first green flag flies at 6 p.m. Get your advance tickets at Express Mart, just east of the fairgrounds. It's North 83 Fireworks Night this Sunday at the Nodak Speedway. The playground of power. The ground is already shaking.
Well, it was a great weekend with a lot of close finishes out of the Jamestown Speedway and the Red River Valley Speedway. For the Dirt Weekly, I'm Corey Litton. In Jamestown, Scott Bintz missed all of last season after having neck surgery, returned with a vengeance as he took the victory by only 19 thousandths of a second over Nate Rinke. On Friday night out at the Red River Valley Speedway, Luke Johnson had a thrilling last lap pass over Jesse Skalicki to take the win. We caught up with Luke after the races, and this is what he had to say.
Caught up with Luke Johnson, who picked up a pretty big win at the Red River Valley Speedway on Friday. Luke, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. You had a pretty good weekend all in general here, but that race that you had with Jesse Skalicki on Friday was pretty awesome at the Red River Valley Speedway. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, it started last, and I knew the car was really good on the bottom, so I just kind of kept my momentum down there and got up to second. Jesse was pretty far away as out, but I just really needed a caution, and I heard the caution, and I'm like, all right, if I just kind of keep it going, keep it smooth, and figured I could get him. About 2 laps to go, I kind of got the better end out of 2, and then I didn't see him in 3 and 4, so I figured I had it, and it was pretty fun.
And at the line, it was probably one of the closer finishes that we've had this season at that racetrack. And I mean, how pumped were you when you crossed that line?
I was really pumped, especially after the week before I got DQ'd for those axles. It was kind of hard to go home with that, and then it meant a lot to go back out there and win again. And so
And then actually, you were the first caution of the race too, because your filler panel came off, so you had to come from the back twice to do this.
Yep, I started 16th and went to the back, so I started 18th and then came back up to the front.
Well, you had an awesome run. Your run continued on through the weekend, winning at Buffalo River Race Park here too as well. You got anybody you'd like to thank for this?
Yeah, my dad and family at Johnson's Auto Repair and Valley Alignment, Central Ag, Corey's Car Care Center, Action Towing and Recovery, Freezing Crates, all my friends, Aaron Wetterland, Bryce Bierken, Cody Erickson, Corey Van Mill, Frank, all those guys that just make it happen.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll keep in touch with you throughout the season here, and thanks for joining us here on the Dirt Weekly.
All right, thank you.
7 o'clock is the start time on Friday and Saturday night. At the Red River Valley Speedway, it is driver meet and greet night, and it's the NOSA Sprints on Saturday at the Jamestown Speedway. Hope to see you all there. Thank you very much. For the Dirt Weekly, I'm Corey Litton.
Another week in the books for dirt track racing across North Dakota. This is the Dirt Weekly. As we discuss it, you saw the highlights, you've heard who the results are, the standings, the winners, all the good stuff. Special thanks to Joran Boyce for swinging it tonight. Fantastic stuff. You see some of those highlights here on the Joran Boyce card that he hands out in that pit trailer. Boy, there's plenty to talk about with Storm and Joran. Gentlemen, Larry, how's your birthday going? That's my big question for you right now. Are you having a good time?
Hey, unbelievable. The pizza delivery out here by Tony Mueller from Planet Pizza. The Leaf here brought the Diet Dew Kit Kat trophy, which unfortunately, since he brought it, has collapsed. But, yeah, it's been a pretty good time. I had to work all day, though, and then rush out here. So my best birthday would have been getting in some golf, but we'll do that some other day.
Look at those Kit Kats, man. I mean, there's plenty there.
Yeah,
stacked up.
That's why people kind of can't realize how I can't lose weight.
And this is
at 210 calories per bar.
This is a nice look. That might be your new thing.
Yeah,
it'll stick right out the T-tops of the Corvette.
It'll go right out through the removable roof when I drive to Williston this weekend to announce the races out there.
All right, gentlemen, the topic of conversation that the Dirt Weekly has started with this power ranking stuff is huge. Unfortunately, Brandon Beater and the duties he has as the president of Nodak Speedway, he isn't allowed or isn't able to maybe dedicate as much time to these power rankings as we would like. Maybe that's not the way to say it, but let's talk about these power rankings and see what we would expect next week coming up with the new edition of the power rankings that happen every other week. And these have been a lot of fun and a lot to discuss. Let's start with our hobby stock division. Andrew Birch, Dana Brandt, Reese Dignan, Zach Lutz, Vance Tomlinson, Haas, Goff, Ruby, Lucy. That's who it was last week. After a full weekend of racing, does anything shuffle for you guys?
Well, kind of going back to the thing with Brandon, yeah, he's got a list of duties that involve preparing the racetrack and doing his darn TV business. We appreciate him getting this thing started because we've had a lot of fun with it. We're never going to get it all right because there is no right. It's very subjective. Looking at those hobby stocks, that's pretty good. I think they're pretty consistent. Vance Tomlinson has had a couple of weeks of tough luck and not had the finishes that we're accustomed to. I'm going to slide him maybe off the list onto the watch list. I know he's going to rebound, and then we'll put Kevin Dwight up there. He's picked off 2 wins at the Nodak Speedway this year. We're going to slide him up there. He's kind of a newcomer to that hobby stock top 5 in the power rankings.
Larry, how about you? Anything special from you?
No, I think that's pretty close. I don't know if I'd move Lutz down. He came up with another third-place finish. I think it was in Estevan. And at the Playground of Power, he was in the top 4 again, I think. But Tomlinson is back on there. Twite, you can't argue with that, 2 out of 3. But Andrew Burt still in that 146 car. Just seems to be a little bit above and beyond everyone else still right now to this moment.
All right, let's talk about sport mods now. And Robbie Conway's got that number 2 machine just dialed in at the Playground of Power, but so does Jeff Hotfoot Hooker. And Hooker was on the watch list 2 weeks ago. In my mind, that's the major one that needs to shift and become maybe in the top 5, if not the top 3. Lautenschlager's number 2, Sandro 3, Biella 4, Kelly Henderson 5, Roselli, Strachan, Beater, the others to talk about. Gentlemen, Hooker, is he on the list? Is he off the list? Where do you have him?
Oh, no, he's moving on up. Robbie Conway still, even though he didn't have a good finish, had a mechanical, clipped one of those tires, broke a tie rod, dropped back, finished 9th here at the Nodak Speedway. But he's the guy to beat out there, it seems like, although, saying that, Jeff Hooker's beat him 2 times in a row, 2 A mains in a row, go to the 7X of Hotfoot Hooker. So I'm going to leave Robbie Conway up to top. Eric Lautenschlager's he has 6 wins now so far already in the season. He's number 3 in IMCA Northern Sport Mod points nationally. That's pretty impressive. And Isaac Sandro leading the points at the Nodak Speedway. Hooker, I'm going to put him up into at least 4th. He's up there, and then Robbie Roselli winning down in Dickinson. I'm going to drop him into the number 5 spot. There's a lot of great drivers in that class that at any given weekend can pull off a win. Those guys are the guys to watch. Like I say, there's consistency, there's A-main wins, and there's that's a very competitive class this year. Those guys get better and better each week. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And Robbie Conway just messaged me today and said he just aced hole number 11 at the country club today, playing some golf. So he just got a hole in 1 of golf. He's got to stay on top. He's got obviously everything going for him, but I just want to make sure I let him know he's still 1 behind me, because I have 2 career hole-in-ones on August 7th, 1983 and May 12th, 1997. So he needs 1 more, but he's number 1, obviously.
Well, I would check that golf club to make sure it's legal for starters.
Right.
That's the first thing that I would do. It's probably a Jeff.
I had witnessed.
I wonder if that's a Jeff tailor-made set of clubs that he's hitting.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it might not be legal. So we have to check into that.
All right, let's talk about the stock cars now. Joe Flory, number 1. Dalton Flory, number 2. Stormin Joran Boyce, number 3. Jake Nelson, 4. Jeremy Swanson, 5. Ellis, Maddox, Yale, Venice. We're on the watch list. Boy, it sure seems like we might see some shuffling on this one. Does Greg Mann, the 95 Flamin' car from Estevan, make your list next week?
This should be a top 10 list with people to watch, because all those guys, once again, are tough. You know, Joran had a tough week last week here in Minot. Things didn't go his way. Dalton Flory wins again. Dalton Flory, I think, is the guy to beat. I'm going to put him as a number 1 in my power rankings. Joe Flory in 2nd. Austin Doe comes out of nowhere, runs 2nd at Nodak, wins the A-main up in Estevan on Saturday night. Chris Ellis also up there on that list. Joran Boyce on the list. And you got to be able to leave Scott Yale on that watch list. He's someone to keep an eye on, as he's already won 1 here at the Nodak Speedway. Every place, like I say, another class that's just so competitive. There's multiple different winners at all these tracks around our area. A lot of fun to watch.
I think that's pretty close as well, too. Chris Ellis has been really fast all year, but he's had all sorts of problems. He broke coming across the checkered flag one night in Williston. And so when he doesn't have trouble, he's pretty good. But Austin Doe, another great run in Minot, a good run in Estevan. We'll just obviously talk Joran. He's on the top 5. I would do the same thing. Dalton Flory now, I think, has surpassed Joe. Joe had him at the start of the year. But it's still Flory's his world in the stock cars, and everybody else is just living in it right now.
Let's move on to the modifieds. The ground pounders, Jason Walla, number 1, Travis Hagen, number 2. Any real debate here with our top 3? Jeremy Keller doesn't run a whole lot of tracks, but boy, he's just been dominating down in Mandan. Spencer Wilson, number 4. Cody Shope, number 5. Wayne Johnson, Hot Rod Hellebusch, Sean Strand, and Justin Medler are on the watch list. I know we received some emails about Travis Olheiser in that 019 machine deserves to maybe be on this list. Some of those Tomlinson guys having some nice runs over the weekend. Does anything change with the top 3 and below that?
For me, I don't think we're going to change anything in the top 3. Spencer Wilson struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year. He's got his program back on track and running up in the top 5 consistently week after week, leading laps here and in Mandan. And I'm going to put Hot Rod Hellebusch up there maybe in 5th, although Cody Schultz running well. Hot Rod showing some speed, but now as I see on his post, it's time to go back to work. So he's off pretty much racing for the month of June. I believe he's not going to be back until July. So work comes first. Got to have some money to race. So he'll be on the list and always going to be a threat to win. So that list pretty close. Big Showalla is just getting it done wherever he goes. He's had some mechanical issues also down in Mandan. He had a tough night down there, but when that car's going, it's going forward. He'll start deep in the field and make it happen.
Well, down in Mandan, he just had something fall off the front end of his car when he was making the run up to the front, and he had to go tail end. And I talked to him after the race. He says he's never remember having that particular piece ever fall off his race car before, and he just couldn't get back out to the front. Not taking anything away from Keller. Jeremy is so tough down there on that track. I think I've got to have Olheiser in the top 5. I would move him up. He's been pretty outstanding down in Mandan and in Dickinson. He's only raced up at the Nodak Speedway once, but I think I would have him up on that list. But then the question is, who do you bump off? And I haven't bought a flak jacket yet, so I don't want to bump anybody off because I'm still not protected when I drive around in my car. I'm pretty wide open in there. So I want to add somebody, but I don't want to drop anybody. Is that legal? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can there's room for halves in here, Larry. You can have a 2.5 and a 3.5.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And a 4.5.
That's what I'll do. Travis is now 4.5.
A 5A, a 5B. We get a lot of room to make this work, Larry. We can slide him in there.
All right, that's what we'll do.
Time for the worst of the week. What do you guys have? Is anyone on the worst of the week list? Anything on the worst of the week list?
Boy, I don't know. Things are going along pretty smoothly around. Like I say, we're getting the racing in. The worst, the wind. We keep talking about the wind, and every time we set up to do a race. This weekend was pretty decent out at Nodak, but then, of course, I found myself hoping for a little bit of a breeze down there on Sunday night because it was so hot. And I should never say, I wish we had a little more wind, because I always get my wish.
Some of our fans, when Nick posted early in the week, and we put that question out to the fans every week, Jared Lean, Travis Tooley, Mason Eisenzimmer, pretty much all said the same thing. They said that they think the worst all of a sudden is respect for the other drivers. They didn't specifically call it slide jobs, but they just said there's been lots of situations where there just doesn't seem to be any respect, and drivers just blatantly sliding up into somebody and taking either one guy out or both guys out. According to our fan base, that seems to be a problem that's going on now, that everybody mentioned quite a few about the lack of respect on some of these slide jobs out on the racetracks.
How about the best of the week on that post? Is there anything from the fans on the best of the week?
A couple people mentioned Lacey Olheiser, that Marcus Tomlinson and Miles Tomlinson won races. They're pretty fired up about that. Dusty Lawson, Kyle Feddix win up in Estevan. Travis Tooley, Travis Olheiser coming from the B-Main in Mandan to a top 5. Seems to feel that Olheiser should be up in the top 5. And Travis Hagen winning in Minot a day after one of his best friends passed away. As a matter of fact, he didn't race in Estevan on Saturday night because of it. And then on Sunday, with a heavy heart, Travis goes out and wins down in Minot for one of his good friends. And they didn't put a name on here for me, but that's got to be pretty big when a driver can go out there and do something, just like Kevin Twite did, wanting to win one for his dad, and now Travis Hagen winning for one of his close friends.
Lindsay, anything for you on the best of the week?
You know, yeah, a lot of things. I agree with everything they're talking about. And with Kyle Fedek winning up in his home track in Estevan, he's been trying so hard. And a great guy. It comes from a great family. They're just some of the nicest people you're going to meet at the racetrack. And that's got to be my best of the week. Also, the car count. Sprint cars don't get out here in the western side of the state very often. 15 sprint cars in Estevan. Haven't seen them up there for a few years, and then 20 sprint cars here in Minot. You know, when you're doing a class that comes in and occasionally stops by as a special add-on class, it's nice to have that 15 to 20 cars out there to put on a good show, to give the fans a different class to enjoy. So, all good.
Time for my best of the week. It's Larry McFalls' birthday. Happy birthday, Larry.
You wanted balloons, you got balloons.
We're trying our best here.
Oh,
you want to
my.
eat some pizza or what? Oh, wait, I've got my best of the week for you. I've got a 5 out of 5. How many Kit Kats do you have for Larry tonight?
I'm going to let you do this one, Nick.
All right.
Hey, a Joran Boyce balloon showed up.
A Joran Boyce balloon.
Excellent performance tonight, Larry. There's 1. These are big Kit Kats. 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Whoa!
I'm getting skinnier already.
All right. 5 stars. Whoop, soda down.
North 83 Fireworks brings you a night of racing this Sunday at Thenodac Speedway. IMCA Hobby Stock, Sport Mod, Stock Cars, and Modifieds. It's another 10 and 5 bike giveaway night from Bell Cyclery and United Community Bank. The first green flag flies at 6 p.m. Get your advance tickets at Express Mart just east of the fairgrounds. It's North 83 Fireworks Night this Sunday at Thenodac Speedway. The playground of power. The ground is already shaking.